NHC master plan for a major housing project launched. Chairman of Special Parliamentary Committee says public service structure needs a change. Lihir landowners invest in property.
This is National EMTV News with Tokana Hasavi.
Good evening and welcome to Friday's news. Thanks for your company. The National Housing Corporation, together with the Department of Housing, launched its master plan for the Durand Farm project today. The housing project will see the construction of 2,400 houses on state land. It comes under the build, sell and share concept, which will be applied to the end product for Papua New Guineans to buy at affordable costs.
This is Durand Farm, located outside the nation's capital. It's hard to believe that in the coming months, and perhaps year, this place will be transformed into a fully serviced residential area. The project is slowly but surely becoming a reality. With all groundworks cleared, the site will become a township with its own police station, schools, recreational facilities, and shopping centers. At the master plan launch, it was emphasized that the project is aimed at addressing the chronic housing shortage in the city. The obvious option was to build on state land to avoid customary landowner issues. Durand Farm project is the first underdeveloped land to be fully serviced by National Housing Corporation and the Housing Department.
Since the 70s and 80s, most government land and houses were given away under various government giveaway schemes. The government is to restock the current public service housing dilemma. For the record, we no longer have public service houses in all our urban centers, including Port Moresby.
Processes under the Public Finance Management Act will be followed and ensured, and it's only a matter of time when the first post should be going in. At this point, I understand, and you might see at Durand Farm there are earthworks in process.
National Housing Corporation got 7 million kina for the Durand Farm project. However, of this, 4 million kina was spent on procuring civil works equipment and 3 million kina on design and subdivision, resulting in the fruits of labor today. However, as there are illegal settlers residing outside Durand Farm, they too will be given the opportunity to apply for the housing scheme.
No, we do not discriminate for anybody that comes to our system and once that's approved. The Board of Housing Corporation have actually endorsed approved the tendering process. It's now before CSTB, so it's gone out of our hand. So tendering process is out there, many it's outside of our system. So whoever is a successful bidder will be allowed to build, but he will build at 3,000 per annum. So if we had 10 builders, it's all the better.
Following the launch of the Durand Farm Master Plan, service providers have been urged to support the project. Bridget Komatap, National EMTV News.
Every government department has been given 100 allotments to construct staff houses on Durand Farm. At the Durand Farm project master plan launch, a National Development Bank and the departments of the Prime Minister and NEC were presented their allotment certificates. Dubbed as the government's carpenter, National Housing Corporation staff will be visiting the different government departments to discuss what they intend to do on their allotments. It's part of the government's plan to provide affordable housing solutions for public servants, most of whom are forced to reside in illegal settlements due to high rental costs. The pilot project for the national government's Affordable Land and Housing Program has been launched at the Phase 1 site at Geruhu, Stage 3B. There to officiate the launch was Minister for Planning, Charles Abel, as well as representatives from the Department of Lands and Office of Urbanization.
Affordable housing has constantly been an issue for Papua New Guineans, especially for those who live in urban centres. The influx of people moving to towns and cities over the years has increased, thus creating a massive demand for residential housing within the market. However, finding affordable and quality accommodation is a serious issue that many have to contend with. The National Affordable Land and Housing Program is a direct intervention by the O'Neill Dion government to make available 40,000 serviced allotments over the next 5 years, which will be made available free of charge to qualifying citizens to develop their own affordable homes.
The National Affordable Land and Housing Program, under the ministerial committee that's been established through Cabinet, is driving this initiative to try and address the problem in a comprehensive way to make housing accessible to our people.
The program is due to work hand in hand with first home ownership schemes, such as that of the Bank South Pacific and the national government. Once land and the title of the land are acquired, the qualifying citizen can then proceed to take out a loan from BSP and the other nominated banks. Planning phase for the project is to be completed by the end of this year.
What I believe is the primary impediment to affordable housing, that is access to land in the first place. You can have access to financing, but if you don't have the land to put it on, or if you cannot afford the land, or if the land is not properly titled, you cannot access the finance in the first place, and then you can forget about building a house because no land, no money, no house.
Leon Jarari, National EMTV News.
A dispute that left a family evicted from a house they've been living in for the past 30 years has prompted residents to question records held by the National Housing Corporation. Marcus Less, an elderly Morabian, got into a dispute with the former owner of this house last week. He was suddenly issued with a notice to vacate the property. The notice was served by a police unit. Marcus was, however, able to produce documents that showed that his dues had been paid and that he was now the legitimate owner of that property. But his family had to endure living for 2 days outdoors under a tent. Member for Goroka and Chairman of the Special Parliamentary Committee on Public Sector Reform and Service Delivery, Bire Kimisopa, says PNG's public service needs to be changed structurally to ensure it is able to provide the basic services that PNG people expect and deserve. He says while other countries around the world have evolved and cut back on the size and costs of their public services, PNG has gone in the opposite direction. In a projection of what the public service will be costing the country, Kimisopa, speaking on MTV's Talk Picture program, said appropriation levels in the 2015 budget would be nearing 7 billion kina.
A number of jurisdictions around the world, they've made enormous changes in the public service. In fact, their public service has become smaller, not bigger. We've taken the opposite trend. We've become bigger, not smaller. And it's costing the country a substantial amount of money. Now, Neville, if you were to look at the budget as it is in 2015, the actual appropriation for public service is roughly about 7 billion. Now, internal revenue should be around, including grants, perhaps probably about 10 billion. But almost 60 or 70% of the entire revenue is consumed by the public service.
Traffic to and from the Eastern Highlands to Simbu has been disrupted for 2 days following a landslide in the Warrabung area. Since yesterday, large trucks travelling to Hagen and those coming to the Eastern Highlands and Lae have been unable to pass. The Eastern Highlands Provincial Works Department has been working to open up access in the landslide area. Air Niugini celebrates 41 years. Education Department's 266 system and Lihir landowners' acquisition of 3 million kina property. I'll bring you those stories after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news. PNG's flag carrier, Air Niugini, will be celebrating its 41 years of providing airline services in Papua New Guinea. Air Niugini will be joined by its overseas partners, including 3 of its pilot feeder schools in Australia, New Zealand and the Philippines. The celebration will begin tonight in Lae with a corporate dinner, followed by a roadshow tomorrow that will be open to the lay public, showcasing its various departments in the company. The Prime Minister is expected to officiate at the celebration tonight at the Lae International Hotel. The education sector is looking forward to implementing the new 266 system beginning next year. Secretary for Education Dr. Michael Tapo said that with this new structure, every school will be a complete school from primary all the way to secondary level. Dr. Tapo announced this at the National Research Institute yesterday during the launch of a report promoting effective public expenditure.
Education Secretary Dr. Michael Tapo was speaking at the launch of a report based on 2 years of research and surveys by the NRI and the Australian National University. With the research, 360 schools were surveyed in 2012. Many of these schools were also surveyed in 2002. Results showed that enrollments have risen throughout the decade, with a culminative increase of 58% since 2002. The growth in enrollment was faster among girls. Dr. Tapo said this was a good indicator for PNG in terms of the Millennium Development Goals.
We have an increased enrollment. Every boy and girl is going to. So when you come to Millennium Development Goals, there'll be one day when you want to talk about gender, the girls and boys will be competing. Our girls and boys in Papua New Guinea will go to school because you know why? We have a free and compulsory education.
The increased number of enrollments was attributed to the significant increase in funding received by the education sector and the individual schools over the last decade. Dr. Tapo said that with the priority the government has placed on education, he is mindful of accountability in the sector.
Education is between 5.3 to 5.6 GDP of the country's work this year. That's the money we got. So if we say it's not enough, that's a lot of money. And so all the other sectors didn't get the money this year. So I'm so, very, very mindful that when my people don't do well, whether in the province or districts, I get on them. Even though under the laws, I'm not allowed to in some areas. But that's one thing about the research. I think the next thing to find is the legislation is an impediment in this country.
Dr. Tapo also said the sector was looking forward to the new 266 system, which is expected to transform the whole education system in the country.
And next year, we begin the 266. Every child that goes year 5, year 6, and all the schools will be where they are. So if you are in Tediro Primary School, we will build grade 9 classrooms, and that's a job of DSIP and the members of the parliament. In terms of thinking ahead, we want to do that, so that all children who are now getting tuition fee free will go to school and stay there because there's a classroom. And the teachers will go because there's a house there for them. All right? And there will be curriculum for the teachers to use.
Delhi Bagu, National EMTV News.
Coordinator of the Morobe Folk tutorial program, Sharon Matthias, has brushed aside allegations that her tutorial program was privately run. Her response follows a report last night on EMTV News about delays in examinations for FOD tutorial students in Leh. She says FOD tutorial is an intervention program acquired by the Division of Education for access and quality learning. EMTV's Silva Sagawi has this report.
This morning, Sharon Matthias, the founder and coordinator of Morobe's FOD tutorial program, explained the delay in examinations. She says FOD tutorial program being a newly established program in Leh, it was left out of communication by its Port Moresby office. There were 2 meetings held with FOD administrations in Port Moresby to establish the connection with the Leh establishment.
From those 2 meetings with provincial delegations, Mipla Godown, Deputy PA, PPA, Chairman of Education and myself, we met with the principal, Mipla clearing Mulgata issues because they were saying it's a private program. In fact, people of Morobe and Papua New Guinea, this tutorial program is an intervention program for the Morobe Provincial Government and Division of Education.
What was on EMTV News last night was the delay in examinations and allegations of the program being privately run. Ms. Matthias says the program was initiated by the Provincial Education Board and the Morobe Provincial Government to alleviate the high number of school dropouts in the province. However, examinations are ready and will be arriving in Leh by tomorrow.
All 4 students, news aste, not true. Exams I'm ready next week. And I spoke to Mr. Tongogo, Demas Tongogo, Principal FOD. All our exams are coming tomorrow.
Since its inception earlier this year, the tutorial program has received a high number of students' enrollments. Many of them were grade 8 and 10 school leavers with no chance of continuing their formal education. Some of them are from other neighboring provinces.
Tutorial program sometimes best than because plenty of students need not drop out them start nothing.
Agora something else stop so mixing go make him so iga time make him oga tasla.
Isla titulo program center kami je help me lo gain mo fera study lo.
For some teachers, they want a tutorial program to be rolled out in all secondary schools in the province. The program has been beneficial for many young people who have missed out on selections to further their studies.
This program is a good one, and I think it should roll out in all provinces in the country.
Students who have been unfortunately pushed out of the school system, this program is catering for them.
The Morobe provincial government has also made funding commitments to roll out the program in the province. However, delay in release of funds has forced them to collect tuition fees to run the program. Sylvester Gawi, National EMTV News, Leh.
Now to an encouraging story of landowners putting their resource benefits to good use. One clan from Lihir in the New Ireland province has acquired an investment property in the nation's capital. The Nisal clan, through its clan company, Nisal Investments Limited, announced the acquisition of the 3 million kina property. Nisal Investments Chairman James Syed said the purchase demonstrates a commitment to empower the members of the clan far beyond the life of the Lihir gold mine.
The occasion of the settlement of the Nisal clan's acquisition was held this week in Port Moresby. The acquisition was financed by MRL Capital Limited, the trustee of the Lihirians Equity Trust. The Lihirians Equity Trust manages assets comprising real estate, business and other investments in PNG and Australia. These investments are being managed for the benefit of the people of the Lihir group of islands, which comprise 6 clans, including the Nisal clan. Chairman of Nisal Investments, James Syed, said the purchase of the residential units is the clan's first ever such acquisition. He said it demonstrated the vision and commitment of the board to empower, enable growth and prosperity for the clan members on Lihir Island.
I would like to thank especially the vendor for making this opportunity becoming a reality to have the transaction and everything in place, and all the other parties involved, and also I thank you to our holding company.
In May 2013, the MRL Capital Board approved the establishment of a 30 million kina facility from the assets of the trust. The purpose of the facility was to assist companies of the respective clans to venture into investments for the long-term benefit of their respective clan members. From the 30 million kina facility, each clan was allocated 5 million kina, and if the preconditions of the facility were met, MRL would advance funding of up to 5 million kina to each clan to invest. The Nisal clan is the first to access funding from the facility, having successfully met the preconditions. Managing Director of MRL Capital, Lawrence Rausim, explained that such a facility existed for the benefit and sustainability of the people long after the life of the Lihir gold mine.
Instead, long larim big company that's only working all investment from a land of place. We need to start looking at ways of building capacity now empowering more land of place, so that they are able to do these things for themselves.
Delhi Bagu, National EMTV News.
And now we take a look at the finance news. The kina closed unchanged at $0.3965 in the interbank market, and at Bank South Pacific, the kina was buying $0.389 $0.4356 Australian dollars, $0.3004 euro, and 42.05 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold and coffee closed lower, while cocoa and copper closed higher. Palm oil closed higher, while crude oil and copper closed lower. And lastly, on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 221 points higher, the ASX closed at 69 points higher, and the All Ordinaries closed at 29 points higher. You're watching National EMTV News tonight. We'll bring you stories making headlines overseas when we come back. Stay tuned. Turning overseas now, 4 men are tonight on the run after storming a bank in Sydney, Australia, while armed with machine guns. The violence escalated minutes later when they raided a golf club, pressing a gun into the back of a female worker.
Heavily armed police gear up, load and check their weapons, preparing to move in on a gang of armed robbers, thought to have been hiding in a suburban home at Fairfield. They're after 4 men suspected of trying to rob Chester Hills Commonwealth Bank, then staging a hold-up at Rosenay Golf Club in Auburn.
The bad. It's very bad for everyone.
The bank was filled with customers when the men pounced with a machine gun and a baseball bat.
I see 4 people and one lady, the lady working in the floor. I have to go hold her, and the man, he said to me, "Go my face, I'll hit you." He have hammer and one he have gun, big gun. See like a scary movie.
Covered in black from head to toe, they were inside for less than a minute before the security screens activated.
They walked in like any normal people and they get out in a second. My daughter wanted to take money off the ATM and I saw the gun. I said, "Sarah, go back, it's gun."
This woman's daughter, who is 6 months pregnant, was working behind the counter.
She just rang me and she was hysterical. Someone had a gun to her, and that's all I know.
As her mother, how do you feel? You know, your daughter goes to the bank.
I'm just a bit emotional at the moment. I'm sorry. I feel horrible.
The robbers fled in a getaway car.
Like people, they're not normal in that car. They driving so fast. It was so fast.
And they had another target, heading straight away to the golf club at Auburn. Getting into the building through an open door that led to the kitchen, staff fleeing. In the bar area, they raced straight to the cash register, at least 2 of the men waving guns.
I thought it was a joke. I just seen these guys dressed in black being Halloween, and it wasn't until he actually pushed the gun into my back that I realised that it wasn't a joke.
A club patron heard the shouting and spotted one of the gunmen fleeing.
Thought I'd tackle him when he came out. Unfortunately, he pointed a gun at me and discretion got the better part of valour. Thought I was going to meet my maker.
As the bandits drove off, they were spotted and chased by a police patrol car. But the pursuit, reaching dangerous speeds, was called off. As police teams across the area were scrambled on high alert, the getaway car was involved in a head-on collision at Tangerine Street, East Fairfield. The bandits unsuccessfully trying to hijack 2 cars before apparently being cornered at nearby Hercules Street. Tactical officers raced to the area, sealing off roads, preparing for a siege or an assault.
The cops standing in front of our house and they all had their guns drawn. A couple of minutes after that, they told us to leave the house and they moved us just up here.
But the gang had fled, police operations reacting rapidly to any suspected sighting. At one stage, the fugitives thought to be hiding in drains near the railway station at Carramar. But the men are still on the run.
And I saw a fellow walk past and I thought, what's he doing in here? And then next thing, a second one came past. And I just kept cutting the grass of the tree for a minute, and then I thought, what the hell are they doing in my place?
A young surfer has undergone surgery after he was attacked by a shark off the New South Wales mid-coast. Ryan Hunt knows that he's lucky he only suffered cuts to his foot after the animal latched on while he was surfing with mates.
20-year-old Ryan Hunt would only manage to squeeze in one ride when he went out for an early evening surf here at Wallaby Point on the New South Wales mid-north coast. As he prepared to paddle back out to the break, he stepped into waist-high water and straight into the mouth of a waiting shark. After spending the night at Manning Base Hospital, Ryan underwent exploratory surgery early this morning for more than half a dozen puncture wounds in his left foot. But he was well enough to have a bit of a chin wag about his duel with the shark with a taste for feet.
Caught a wave in, I was in about waist deep water, put my foot down and straight away the shark bit onto it. I tried to kick it off once and it let go and then grabbed on straight away again. And then I kicked it again, it swam up between my legs. I sort of had it in my hands here trying to stop it from biting again, like hitting it a bit, and then it eventually swam away.
Yeah, it's not funny at the time at all, you know, because it could have been, he's very lucky, it could have been way more serious.
Ryan will stay in hospital for the next few days for observation, but says he's keen as mustard to get out back into the break as soon as possible.
And that report wraps up our news segment tonight. We've got True Guy Sports coming up next. I'll be back with the details after these short messages.
True Guy Sports.
BSP PNG Games 2014. 15 days to go. Support your province.
Manus Island has been synonymous with the sports of hockey, darts and soccer over the recent years, but the newly introduced sport of swimming on the island is slowly making inroads in this coastal province. While the PNG Games in November are only a fortnight away, Manus Province could provide swimmers for the next PNG Games. EMTV's Rafaela Kaore reports.
Using the rivers and open seas as a training facility has not been the most ideal form of preparing, but swimming enthusiasts have been using that as a motivation in any case. Amateur footage shows the small collection of swimmers off the coast of Lorengau testing their mettle against the surf. Robert Matthew, a former boxing coach, believes that in 2 years' time, his enthusiastic squad could make a bid in the PNG Games.
We belum look our facilities as a swimming pool. Swimming, we belum masuk swimming pool long, take part in side long. We belum already selected more at least belum lalu kalau PNG game, but we belum nak belum kalau PNG game because all swimmers belum me all no got enough skills to swim and tactic to swim inside long swimming pool.
Facilities and qualifying coach remains a problem. But Robert believes with the islanders being natural swimmers, it is only a matter of time till Manus provides some of PNG's future stars.
But aim belum Manus now, me belum by hitting PNG game lo 2016 long Kimbe. I hope all Kimbe got a swimming pool have so. I'm on challenge belum me belum Nigan Island too. I don't think all of the Nigan Island too also swim, also take part long swimming long popo Nigani.
Rafaela Kaure, National EMTV Sports.
Team East New Britain believes it will do well in the PNG Games in November. Chef de Mission Clement Irasua said the province missed out on finishing first 2 years ago, but this year the team is determined to be at the top.
East New Britain has maintained they won the 2012 games at home, and Irasua says that they will head to Ley to compete and defend, believing that his is a winning team.
Though NCDC is saying that is saying that they won it, but we are still maintaining that yes, we've tied in the first medal, which is the gold, but I think we overpowered them in both silver and bronze, so we believe that we are the winning team.
A big contingent of almost 700 athletes and officials will be attending. Selections had been done through a rigorous 2-year selection process, beginning from ward to LLG, districts, and eventually at provincial level. That process in line with ENB's sport policy for mass participation, and the management is hoping for improvement.
Our objective is to improve in that level, and improving to that level is defending the title, and also in other areas that we did not, in other sports that we did not do well, especially in our round robin games or now in improvement in the medal. If they won bronze, they have to move up the next level to maybe a silver or gold.
Moving a large contingent, the largest in the New Guinea Islands region, is not an easy task, as explained by Donald Tokunai, General Team Manager Logistics.
It's quite a task to manage 700 athletes and officials to travel from our shores into Morocco. We'll start moving as of the 13th, and all athletes and officials should be in Ley by the 16th. So it's a mammoth task at the moment. We're negotiating with the airlines on how to cater for the trips into Ley.
They are also wary of the threat posed by NCD and host province Morobe.
So we are very well aware of that. I think we've tried our best the last couple of months to just get our athletes up to the standard to be competitive. They've been training has gone very well throughout the coach. We've monitored committees have been allotted.
The team will depart just prior to the opening ceremony and will be bringing their peaceful and harmonious culture to the games as well. Jeremy Moggy, National, EMTV Sport.
Defending Pacific Games champions and hosts Papua New Guinea defeated a resolute Tonga to finish second in the OFC Women's Nations Cup in Kokopo. The win comes after a 5-1 win over the Cook Islands and a 3-0 loss to New Zealand.
Having lost to favourites New Zealand 2 days prior, the team were banking on fresh legs against the Tongan side who had let 17 goals slip by in their previous matches. PNG, led by experienced captain Desmond Sinu in the back, were easily the better side, but with half of the first 11 players taken from the under-20 youth side, they failed to make any real headway. Not until 20 minutes into the match did PNG finally get on the scoreboard. An unfortunate penalty against Tonga saw striker Megan Gunemba give PNG the lead. Tonga had rare forays into the PNG half but did hit the target on occasion. PNG, on the other hand, when in possession, failed to capitalise, with a number of chances going begging. Eventually it fell to midfielder Marie Kaipu to latch onto the ball outside the 18 yards box and steal one past the keeper to double PNG's lead.
Well, it's half-time and the score is a 2-0 in favour of home side Papua New Guinea, although it has been an unconvincing display so far, with the home side having had a number of chances to score but failing to do so. Tonga, on the other hand, have had very few opportunities to score, but they themselves have been looking far more determined in front of goal.
The second half saw a better performance from the home side, but PNG coach Gary Phillips appeared frustrated over his team's lack of cohesiveness. Again it fell to midfielder Kaipu to rescue PNG as the visitors' strong defence held. Kaipu, with a single touch, hit the top of the net to send the crowd into rapture.
Turn around against New Zealand, so disappointed we didn't score more goals. Of course, we certainly had plenty of chances, but you know, I was expecting the tied performance, to be honest.
Yes, definitely. I'm proud of the performance of the girls. They've performed well over the last during the tournament, so I was very pleased with their performance.
A Megan Gunemba penalty early and 2 wonder strikes by Marie Kaipu have seen PNG defeat
Tonga
by 3-0 to see them finish second in the OFC Women's Nations Cup. New Zealand, who were undefeated throughout the entire tournament, will now represent the Oceania region at next year's FIFA Women's World Cup in Canada. Jeremy Moggy, National, EMTV Sports, Kokopo.
Now we take a look at snooker. And the PNG Billiards and Snooker Association has been invited by the International Snooker Federation to attend the World Snooker Titles in India next month. One of their top referees, Jonathan Kavanagh, will be representing PNG in the annual general meeting as well as officiating some of the rounds. Minister for Sports, Justin Chichenko, also came on board to support the PNG Billiards and Snooker Association with 10,000 kina.
The PNG Billiards and Snooker Association has been invited by the International Billiards and Snooker Federation to attend the 2014 World Snooker Titles to be held in India next month. Currently an accredited Class 3 referee with 2 years of experience under his belt, Jonathan Kavanagh was chosen among the top referees to attend the World Snooker Titles. While in India, Jonathan will be refereeing some rounds as well as representing PNG in the International Billiards and Snooker Federation annual general meeting.
Firstly, I'd like to thank Minister Chichenko for his support.
Under the Sports Enhancement Program, Minister for Sports Justin Chichenko presented 10,000 kina to the PNG Billiards and Snooker Association to assist in Jonathan's travel to India.
On behalf of my ministry and the Sports Enhancement Program, I'd like to present to you our contribution to your trip, and that 10,000 kina is to go for the accommodation, airfares and the stay, his stay over there in India for the World Snooker and Billiards Championships.
President for PNG Billiards and Snooker Association, Roger Wilson, thanked the minister and his team for the support.
It's the first time we've actually sent a referee to an international event, and this event takes place in Bangalore in India.
With the lack of facilities around the country to accommodate pool and snooker competition, the 6th BSP PNG Games will host an exhibition event for 3 provinces that have registered. Scholar Sengi, National, EMTV Sports.
And Trukai Sports continues after the break. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Good to have you back with Trukai Sports. To Rugby League, Anthony Watmough is happy with his move to Parramatta, and he opened up today about why it had to happen. He also discussed his frosty relationship with his Sea Eagles teammate, Daly Cherry Evans.
After a long and frustrating year, Anthony Watmough got the change he wanted. His 286-match 2 premiership career at Manly is done, and a new chapter begins in the blue and gold of Parramatta.
I'm excited. I'm excited about the challenges ahead.
Watmough was typically honest in explaining his decision to move.
Things change, people change, places change. Manly just wasn't the same place it was to me. I'd been there since I was 13. But, you know, mentally, I just wasn't there. So it was time for a freshen up.
Many thought the flashpoint for him was Manly's decision to not offer great mate Glenn Stewart a new deal for 2015.
Everyone says it's all about Glenn and that's where it all started. But look, at the end of the day, it wasn't about Glenn. It was about a whole range of things that had been boiling over for 3 years, and that was icing on the cake.
He also dealt with his fractured relationship with Daly Cherry Evans.
I've known Daly since I was a kid. I'm not going to wish no ill will towards anyone. You know, I've got closer friends. I've got best friends, I've got close friends, and I've got friends. And you know, he'll always be a part of that, of my life and my life at Manly. And what we won we won a premiership together. We lost one.
As for thanking the fans and friends he'd made at the Sea Eagles, he was almost lost for words.
These people have become a big part of my life, and for them to support me for so many years and be there, you know, I can't thank them enough. I'll always have a little bit of me over there. You know, I've been there for 13 years of my life. You know, I can't just say that it's dead and buried now.
He'll fly to the United States with the Eels squad for a training camp on Monday.
And in Melbourne, the Kangaroos are waiting for their must-win game against England. Dylan Walker ready to bounce back from his much disappointing debut against New Zealand.
It might look like Cam Smith was hogging the trophy, but the truth is James Graham, being the superstitious character that he is, refused to touch it. Graham knows the English team will need luck and skill to send the Australians to back-to-back test losses.
Playing teams off the back of a loss is never good, but you know, we've just got to concentrate on ourselves and not worry too much about what the feelings are or the motivation levels are like in the Australian camp. We're highly motivated to get the win, and we want to do it for us and for our country.
David Furner covered for a sick Tim Sheens today. In Game 1, Greg Inglis took illness into the game, but had to be replaced. Dylan Walker was tossed into the unfamiliar role of fullback, and he struggled under the high ball.
He had a bit of an off night, and he's not the only bloke in our team that did that. Greg Inglis is over his flu now, so let's hope that Dylan Walker can keep his centre position, because I thought he was outstanding this year for the Rabbitohs.
Walker has been strongly supported by his teammates and says he's ready to play the game of his life on Sunday afternoon.
It wasn't probably one of the best of the games, but definitely had the support from the team and the coaching staff. So, it's been good support, and just have to move forward now.
You're a confident young kid. Does it get knocked around at all?
It was just one of them games. I don't want to look back at it now and just really dwell on it. Just moving forward and just worry about my next job and play good for the boys this time around.
And Trukai Sports ends on that note. There were the details for the next 24 hours after the break.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
This weather information is proudly brought to you by Tablebirds.
A look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in southern region. Daru, Karama and Port Moresby mostly fine. Alata and Popondetta to look forward to brief showers. In Momase, thundery rain in Madang and the rest of the centres, showers. In the New Guinea Islands, thundery showers expected in Loringa, mostly fine in Buka, and a few showers expected in Kaviang, Rabaul and Kimbe. And in the Highlands region, all centres, showers then morning fog. Forecast for small ships, Waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Daru to Kiwai Island, Kerema, Yule Island through to Hood Point, Arama Coast, including Samarai Island, eastern and western Milne Bay Islands, Finschhafen to Vitia Strait, Siasia Island to Long Island, and waters of Manus and its western group of islands, seas of 1.5 meters to 2.5 meters, waters of Samarai Island to Cape Bogle, through to Wasu Point, Finschhafen, and waters of New Britain to New Island and Bougainville, seas of 0.5 to 1.5 meters, and waters of Long Island through to Madang to Bogia, to Wewak, to Aitape, Vanimore and northern PNG Indonesian border, seas of up to 1.5 meters. And ocean forecasts for PNG areas: Coral Sea, seas rather rough with southeast winds at 20 to 25 knots. Solomon Sea, seas moderate with southeast winds at 15 to 20 knots with gusts. Bismarck Sea, seas rather rough with southeast winds at 20 to 25 knots with stronger gusts. And lastly, Pacific Ocean, seas slight to moderate with northeast to east winds at 10 to 20 knots. And that's how we end National EMTV News this Friday. From the news team, I'm Tokana Hasavi. You take care and have a safe weekend. Good night.